Hello and welcome. Thank you for tuning in today. My name is William Betzelberger. I am the host and the founder of the Resilient Masculinity podcast and movement. This podcast and this movement were created and designed for you, for men, so that you guys have a community where you guys are encouraged, where you are equipped, and where you are given the resources and knowledge to become more capable, more self-reliant, more resilient, in the face of a ever-changing and ever-difficult world, so that you can lead and be effective in leading your families, yourselves, your communities, your churches, your businesses, and anywhere else you have influence or are present in. So thank you for tuning in today. If this is your first time, I want to say welcome. And if you're returning, thank you for tuning in and having, an ear to hear what I'm having to say today. So we're going to kick off today with a interesting subject, and that is, and kind of controversial at that, power and influence. Most of us grew up hearing the phrase, or the saying, power tends to corrupt, absolute power tends to corrupt absolutely. And if you're anything like me, you don't want to be corrupted. I'm a very moral person. I have a very strong moral framework, and I try not to even put myself in an area that would offer the potential for corruption. That's not the case with power, and I'll give my reasons why. If so, we're going to start with a framework. If you are a Christian and you have the framework and the worldview that there is God's, that everything is God's, then you are a steward of that, and that's why we call it stewardship. Whether it's financial stewardship or economical, the stewarding of the world and everything in it. If that is true, if that is the framework you work with, and even if you're not, but if you do, then you have the responsibility and, dare I say, the absolute calling to get as much power and influence, morally and correctly, mind you, as you can, so that you can be a more effective and a more moral and righteous steward than those who are not moral or righteous, so that you don't have corrupt people stewarding more money and more power and more influence. And of course, this is not in a way to pursue yourself. This is not a self-indulgent pursuit. This is a pursuit that ultimately brings not you glory, one, your God, and two, other people. I want more resources, not for myself, not for my sake, but so I can take care of my family better, so that I can lead better in my community, so I can serve them better. If I had more money, for example, let's just take that, right? If I made more money, I could provide better for my family. I could spend less time at work and serving them. I could serve my community more through more volunteer outreaches. And I could start more businesses that would provide the economic resources for others. Now, that's not to say I'm rich or I want to be rich, but I want to pursue more so that in the end, other people are served better. And that's not just oh, look at me, I can be rich. It's more of that responsibility. And that's a major problem in the world today, is we don't have men who are willing to take the responsibility. They want all the fun, but they don't want the responsibility. They want the wealth without the responsibility of taking care of their family well and taking care of their communities well. And that's why you'll have people hoard their wealth and keep it to themselves and be Mr. Moneybags. And, if this is a corrupt world, if there is nothing more to this world, than this life, then fair. Then I can't really argue with that philosophy if that is true. But if it's not, and I don't believe it is, but if it's not, then you have a major obligation to serve uh, those who are dependent on you, those who are dependent on not only you but your community. Because if you're talking not just your family, if you're talking about your community, well, the coffee shop down the street that's owned by a local man, the flower shop that's owned by your neighbor lady, you have a responsibility to help take care of them too. Maybe not. Maybe that's more of a Christian worldview, and maybe that's not all encompassing, and maybe that's more of a Western type thought than, say, Eastern philosophy. But I will still stand by that. And I believe that at the end of the day, men who are moral, who are righteous, who are self controlled, who know how to work hard and aren't afraid to work hard, you should become more capable. You should increase your skills, in part for yourself, right? I want to learn more skills for myself so I can better myself, but not just myself. I want to do it to better my family and my community and provide more resources to my church and provide more resources to the business that I work for. I work for a business right now, and just this last week and over the next coming weeks, I have the opportunity to train in other facets that aren't my normal skill set because I want to be a better asset to the company. Because I want them to depend on me. I want to be the guy that they call at 2 a.m. and say, hey, we got a problem. I need you to fix this. Because I want that responsibility. Because with that responsibility comes better pay and better hours and betterment of my family, of my priorities. My community does better. And in doing so, I'm going to train up others to do the same. I'm going to train those around me to also become those guys and those girls who, if there's a problem, they call you up and say, hey, we need you. If there's only one guy, well, if I'm on vacation, you're kind of out of luck. But if there's 4, 5, 6 of us who know how to do these things that aren't just our normal jobs, but are above and beyond, if we're better assets to the company, that demands a better pay. That demands a better respect. And at the end of the day, that allows each and every one of us to better our communities. Because we don't all live in the same town. Some of us drive 20, 30 minutes away. I'm very blessed to be about 10 minutes away. But many of my coworkers live 20, 30, 40 minutes away from our work site. And so they may be longer in getting there, so maybe I'll have to go there for the first bit until reinforcements arrive. And then I can back off and allow them to lead while I go handle other problems. And that's okay too. There's this idea of not only putting yourself, putting yourself in a way that allows you to be better and to become a better asset yourself, but then also to raise your standards for those around you too. And say, hey, join me in becoming a better asset. Join me in becoming a better member of our community. Join me in becoming more successful so that we can serve, so we can provide safety and stability and service to our families and our businesses and our churches and our communities and around those or for those around us so that we can have a better society. Just my thoughts for the day. That's something I've kind of been working on in my head over the last few days, especially with what's the Christian moral way to address power and the desire to be more powerful or more influential. It's not about me, right? At the end of the day, I'm not any better than anyone else. But I apply myself. I work hard. I'm diligent. I'm a man of integrity, or I try to be, right? And as I try to be those things, as I try to live a life that is worthy of the gospel and live a life that is worthy of my calling as a man to provide safety, stability, and service to my family and my community. I want to encourage those around me to do the same. And yeah, I might be one guy, but think if 10,000 men had that same idea. What if 10,000 men had the idea and the goal of providing better safety and stability and service to themselves, their families, and their communities? Think of the impact that would have. 10,000 men leading their families well, that's my whole town, right? My whole town would be leading their families better and serving each other better and serving, those around us, not only in our community, but our communities are surrounding us, would be better served. And then the other kind of side note to that is, what are your capabilities and your goals right now? And what do you want to grow in for the next year? That is a concept and a process I'm working through now with the new year and kicking everything off, starting a new year. The whole new year, new me. I don't totally believe that. I believe, well, yes, it might be a nice clean slate for a planner. Your 12-month planner, your weekly planner might be a nice way to have a visual clean slate. At the end of the day, every new day is a clean slate, and you have the ability today to change that. I didn't start at the start of the year on my community, Resilient Masculinity. I started that back on a random day in September. Yes, I did strategically choose to post my first podcast episode on the 1st. That was a strategic move. But I had recorded that at least 2 days prior. And I didn't choose to wait, because I can sit there and wait and wait and wait until the new year or a new month or a new week. No, start today. Start looking at what you're capable of doing today and saying, okay, what is my next goal? What is my next step? And taking charge. Take charge, take ownership of that. I sat on a podcast for 2 years. I've been talking about doing this for 2 years. Just think how many people I could have, impacted. Think of how many people's lives could have been made better had I started this 2 years ago. And I'm kicking myself in the pants every day for not starting this 2 years ago. So I did the next best thing. I started today. I started a couple of weeks ago, but I started, immediately then. If the best time to plant a tree was yesterday, the second best time to do it is today. So what are your goals today that will make tomorrow better so that you can be more capable, more resilient? And let's get into the idea of resilience for a minute. Resilience isn't just being strong. It's also about being flexible. It's about withstanding a storm. If you had a tree that is, a giant oak tree that is solid, when a 70-mile-an-hour wind gust happens, that thing blows over faster than, a house of sticks. And I know it because I have a tree right down the street that blew over in an 85-mile-an-hour wind gust. And that thing got uprooted. However, the smaller, springier trees, the more bendable ones, they're still standing because they were able to withstand the wind because they chose to be bendable. Okay, they may not have chose, but they are more bendable by nature. So it's not falling over and playing dead, but it's what can you do to be more flexible, to be more resilient, staying true to your cores, to your core values, but being able to withstand the storms of life and being able to flow. How about your finances? Do you have enough area, enough wiggle room in your finances that if your car was to go out today, would it be a disaster or an inconvenience? Month and a half ago, 2 months ago, I had a power steering failure. My power steering fluid went out. And to fix that, and plus I had to get an oil change anyway, it was that time, it was over $100. And, I kind of grimaced a little bit, $100. But at the end of the day, it wasn't an emergency. It was an inconvenience. It sucked, but it's not the end of the world. I still have a reliable car to get to and from work that provides stable transportation for me and my family. And that, at the end of the day, is what I need. You know, could it be a better ride? Sure. It's, older than my wife, and it's got 207,000 miles on it, and it still runs. It's a wonderful vehicle. You know, rent. Do you have enough wiggle room in your budget that if rent went up, say $50 or $100 a month, is that doable? If not, what can you do today to start either building more income, reducing expenses, or ultimately both, so that you have enough wiggle room in your budget either to be able to absorb those blows or find a better place to live? And I know with this market, that's difficult. Trust me, my wife and I have been looking around the area, and we're paying below the average, and then we're still paying what a lot of people would think is a lot, but it's below average for our area. So, I understand it's not easy. Life is not supposed to be easy. A lot of us, especially us young people who have been, just out of our parents' house for the last few years, a lot of us grew used to their standard of living. And now we have to start on our own, and that's difficult. And life is difficult, and that's good. Because it gives you a chance to grow. It gives you a chance to build those resilient skills, those self-reliant skills, to become more capable. It pushes you to become more capable. Whether or not you like the process is up to you. But that's all I have to say today. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, become more resilient. I know that's an easy thing to say, but also do it. Become more resilient. Take those chances. Become more resilient to the changes and the stresses around you. Become a little bit more flexible. It's okay. Create strategies. Hold to them. Don't wait for yesterday or the next best day. Start today. Start today. Create goals and seek ways to increase your effectiveness and your influence and, dare I say, your power, or maybe a better word there would be authority, so that you can provide better for your family, your community, your church, and your business. Become a better provider. Become a better solution to problems. Become a better asset. So that at the end of the day, you can provide safety, stability, and service to more people. Thank you for tuning in today. That's all I have to say. So till next time, remember to take action, become the men you are called to be, and build resilience. Thank you.